Intro Skippers, your favorite podcast about what's streaming and the culture around it, presented by your friends with unique perspectives on entertainment because we work in it. We love it that much. And I wanted to skip this intro because we are talking about the White Lotus Season 3 finale.
We are. And I thought about something. We care about our work so much that we made a podcast that's also about our work.
Yeah, who does that? That's not super boring, you know?
We do, yeah.
Or we're going to teach you about the top 10 marketing techniques that'll help you branch out your business.
No.
Something just incredibly boring. I don't know anything about that. And I'm sorry if you do that and you're very passionate about it. Because I can relate. I'm passionate about this. And I want to talk. So you're listening to this on Tuesday because that is our normal drop date. We have fewer than 10 episodes, so we better be consistent. But
yeah.
We are recording this podcast fresh after watching the Season 3 finale. And one of our first episodes was pondering about this whole season. And now we're here. Should we just get into it?
Let's get into it. It's so fresh that we couldn't even wait to get together in the same studio.
Well, you have stuff going on this week.
That's why it sounds a little different.
We're not using our top professional mics, just our secondary mics, but it's still going to be good. All right, Let's just do it. Our bodies this season, there are 5. Both of the bodyguards who were mean to Guy Talk all season.
Whew, yep.
Our good friend, the evil rich man.
Right, who, by the way, you and I both predicted that that actor would probably play the owner of the hotel.
And he did. But in a different... There's just so many things in this where I think if it had gone a little different, if it had gone just a little different, we wouldn't have seen tragedy.
Oh, man.
But, yeah... alas, we did, and I am beating around the bush, just talking about these characters who I don't even name, and Jim Hollinger, but of course our bodies this season are Chelsea and Rick, and in a way we were both right about this. I think you predicted in the episode where we talked preseason, Rick Goggins.
Yeah.
And, I kind of didn't think so then, but I mean, it's kind of been telegraphed through a lot of the dialogue this season that would happen.
There's a lot of really good payoff in this episode. I'm glad that, in a way, I think the payoffs that we wanted to see or that we thought were going to happen, happened. And I'm glad that it wasn't like a crazy twist any more than it already was. Like, if there were little kernels... Throughout the whole season, there were kernels of hints, and if you were paying attention, you would see where it was all going to come together. And
the White Lotus famously has a lot of red herrings, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, and we got a few.
We did get a few, but let's talk about Chelsea and Rick first. Let's move between different character groups instead of going chronologically, because you've already seen the episode if you're listening to this, and that might not be the most fun for you. So Chelsea is perfect. She has never been wrong once. She had a pure soul. She represents hope. Rick represents pain. And indeed, one of them won, and it was Rick. She has laid seeds the entire season about being together, following him to the next life and the next. And most of the season, he did scoff at her woo-woo, oh, I'm an Aries, and how is this going to work? And this is my rising sign, my sun sign, my moon sign. But eventually, in this episode, he agrees they're going to be together forever. That's the plan, at least.
Yeah. He has a huge turnaround until
there are some plot holes in this, or perhaps can be read as plot holes. Why would Rick go back to the White Lotus after he ran? He ran out the door out of the Hollinger's home after he shoved Jim Hollinger. Don't you think you might not be safe on his property?
Right. Okay, I could understand why he would go back there to grab Chelsea, but any normal person would be like, let's go.
Babe, pack your bag. Let's go. We're going to have a great life together. I'm happy now. But they really did achieve happiness and peace way too early in the episode for them to have it be lasting.
Yeah. And I did notice a huge plot hole also in the penultimate episode. Not that this is technically about it, but it does tie in. The fact that his buddy Frank, posing as Steve, like, couldn't you talk to him for 5 minutes and get your plan straight? Okay, that's not a plot hole,
but that is some lazy shit right there.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't watch one of Tala's movies, or at least know the name. You couldn't pretend, better that you're this acclaimed director.
Yeah, that was really weak.
I don't know if I would call that a plot hole. I'm gonna throw them a bone on that one.
Okay.
But thinking about this episode, it was a popular theory that Jim Hollinger was Rick's dad, especially because we looked in his office in the last episode. Speaking of that, some young photos of him looking very Goggins-like, and nobody picked it up, but I think most of the audience did, which is he is your father. But I wish he had been more clear at breakfast instead of saying your father was no good guy and your mother was a drunk and a whore. He could have just said, I'm your father and I'm a bad guy. He could have said it, but he didn't. But when did you know it would be them?
I felt like it would be them, right when we saw that Jim came back. I was like, this is not going to end well.
I knew it was them last week when they showed the preview for this episode and Chelsea was running into Rick's arms on the beach and it looked really idyllic and beautiful.
You were like, there's no way that's it.
No, because it hasn't been that way this whole season. Rick has been treating Chelsea horribly.
Yeah, and she took it.
She stood by his side actively because she, as she explains, she feels that he's her child and she's meant to take care of him and help him, and she is hope. She represents light. She represents redemption. And they came so close to having it.
Yeah.
It's just this perfect Greek tragedy of seeking revenge and losing the thing you love along the way because you were so blinded. I've said for a long time that I love revenge, that it's one of my favorite genres, that it's one of my favorite things to have happen in real life. And Rick has made me realize that I should stop being like him so much because he lost everything. And if he had only realized, like Chelsea had, don't focus on the love you didn't have, focus on the love in front of you, it would have been fine. Ugh.
Yeah.
It would have been fine if he stayed with Frank at the hotel in the beginning.
Well, ultimately, I don't know about that.
Well, he wouldn't have shot anyone.
Oh, at the beginning.
This episode.
Oh, well.
When Frank he brings in more escorts and he's like, where you going, man? Don't you like me anymore? Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if I would call him staying there fine, but he wouldn't have been dead.
He wouldn't have gotten Chelsea killed, and also the other 4 people, including himself, 5 people would not have died had Rick stayed and done some cocaine and motorboated some escorts like a good boy.
By the way, I loved Sam Rockwell in this. Just what an unhinged character.
He low-key walked away with a minor win in the finale because, we didn't talk about it, but I think the world did. His amazing speech about finding spirituality in the extremes of sexuality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he fell off the wagon big time last episode and this episode. But in the end, it shows him back in the temple.
Right.
Being dutiful and praying. And, maybe it is all connected. Maybe piety and debauchery don't have to be opposites. They could work hand in hand.
Well, a big study of Buddhism, a big sort of focus of it is the middle path. And, obviously no attachment, but also the middle path, no extremes. So, by the way, I loved the opening with the monk talking about how there's no resolution in this life and how everyone goes towards pleasure, but then you still find pain. It was really...
Do not seek.
Yeah, it was...
Do not seek resolution. Do you think that was a message to us, the audience? In regards to the show?
I felt like there was a lot of resolution, though.
There really was.
I felt pretty satisfied with the ending. I really did. I loved the ending.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, parts
I feel
of it,
so bad for Chelsea.
I do. I mean, I'm not saying I'm reveling in Chelsea's death. I'm just saying I thought it was pretty satisfying.
Well, no, I agree with you, and I'm going to get to it when we get to the rat lifts.
Okay.
But she was too perfect, too good, too pure, and we don't deserve Chelsea. And honestly, does Rick? Not really. What do you think Rick's plan was when he was walking with her clearly dead body down the dock? Was he? He
was in shock. I feel like he was
trying
in
to
shock.
save her still, or
yeah,
was he?
I think he was trying to save her because, but I feel like from the moment that he couldn't talk to his guru, I need to go talk to my lady. The moment he couldn't go talk to his lady.
And he couldn't do it because she was sitting with Zion for a session that he didn't even want to do.
No,
and he didn't need.
He did. He really didn't need. Zion's kind of like Zion's great. He didn't need that.
No, he's doing fine. He didn't even want to go. Mm-hmm. But couldn't Amrita be like, oh, this guy is sweating and freaking out, and maybe it's an emergency session I should do now, and this other guy can't be bothered. He doesn't care.
It was I think, duty getting in the way, much like, not to jump around, but what happened with Guy Talk, but we can talk about that later.
Well, maybe it is time for us to move on to a new group of people.
Do you want to go to them?
Sure, Guy Talk and Mook. So this is another pairing that is very fraught but interesting, because ultimately Guy Talk does shoot Rick. See, it does connect. And kill him, going against his morals and his beliefs of the Buddha and nonviolence. And honestly, he has done just a piss poor job being a bodyguard / security guard this entire season.
Yeah.
So he betrays his beliefs to be the man for Mook, the man Mook wanted him to be. I have written so many times in my notes, Guy Talk is not who Mook wants.
No, and honestly, I wrote Mook kind of sucks.
Okay, listen. Mook is red-pilled, okay? She has a version of what masculinity is, and it is being violent and cutthroat. And that was not who Guy Talk was. He was a good and gentle man, and I think there really is something very masculine about taking the high road and rejecting baser instincts and being more intellectual in how you handle your problems.
I loved that Guy Talk got little wins throughout the season. Like when Mr. Ratliff stole the gun, and then he got the gun back later.
But he had big losses too. I mean, on that same one, he was like, "I think you have something of mine," and he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." Mm-hmm. But my goodness, so now Guy Talk has failed up. He's the man. He is the new. He's the new bodyguard for Sitala, and
by attrition, but yeah.
Well, he looked good driving that car, wearing all black and the sunglasses. Mook was into him, but is she really into him?
Yeah, I don't know. And is he really going to be into Mook by the end?
Is he going to be happy? Because he sacrificed his beliefs and the good and gentle man he was to be what Mook thought he should be.
And honestly, he could have just tackled Rick. He didn't need to shoot him twice in the back.
Sitala said, "Kill him! Kill him!" And, maybe by listening to her is how he got that promotion, where she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I like you. You're my new bodyguard."
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be satisfied.
Yeah, he looked happy in the end. I got to say, while I was waiting for you to record this podcast with me, I listened to the interview with Mike White on the official White Lotus podcast.
Okay.
And he feels that he feels that Guy Talk is happy, like that it was worth it to him to ultimately make that decision in the moment. But I don't read it that way. Not at all. I think Guy Talk has lost because he's lost himself. And speaking on that, I do want to talk about someone who I think is actually has in my opinion, the best ending, maybe not for them, but to me, the best ending went to Tim Ratliff. And I know that sounds a little strange, but when he had that epiphany at the end, I mean, before we were talking about this idea that is life a series of tests, and do we pass or do we fail? Tim, this whole season, he's had a rough season too. He had several episodes where he was just moping around and being, one note, annoying, sort of imagining family annihilation.
Right.
And ultimately, he passed the test when he slapped all the cups, the pina coladas out of his family's hands, and realized after Lockie, who stupidly did not clean out the blender, if someone told me the coconut milk has gone bad and left it in the blender, I'm not drinking that coconut milk with 1 cup of water and 1 scoop of protein powder.
Yeah, that was a little
But to get back to my reasoning of why Tim Ratliff had the best ending, he found Lockie. He ran over and held him in his arms, and he thought his son was dying. The one son he wanted to save, by the way, which is also flawed, because if you save him, he has no family, Tim. He has no resources. He's just a kid. What are you doing? But when they were leaving on the boat, and they got their phones back, and Victoria was like, "Guess what, kids?" And, he says, "Listen, things are going to change, but we're a strong family, and we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. And I believe in us." And he looks out onto the crashing water, and it reminds directly of when he spoke to the monk, and he said that human life is like droplets of water flying in the air, and it will rejoin to the sea, and that is what it really is.
Yeah.
He was the one who embraced the doctrine the most and who felt the most changed by it. And he ultimately did pass the test and realized, no, it's not worth it to all be, it's not worth it to be dead and not have to live in poverty. His son's life was worth so much more than riches. And I think spiritually, he walked away as the winner, in my opinion.
He frustrated me so much this whole season that I feel like if he had I felt like he wasn't even being fully honest in the end. He was too vague.
Well, I do like that we didn't actually see what's happening with the Ratliffs, because I had a theory that ultimately it would prove to be fine and have no consequences after someone made a huge mistake. And who knows what will happen. I mean, the show makes a habit of the rich not really suffering.
Yeah. What I predicted while the episode was unfolding was that indeed Lachlan was going to die.
Yeah.
Fully, and then Tim was going to get a call from his lawyer going, "You know what? Everything's fine. They're going to play ball and you're going to be fine." And then he lost Lachlan. I'm sure that was another way that they were possibly going to go when they were writing it.
Well, allegedly they wrote 6 fake endings.
Did they shoot them all too?
I don't think they did. That's a lot of money. Though I have heard that Mike White made extremely long director's cuts of all the episodes, and they were cut down significantly. Actually, one thing I heard in the interview with Mike White on the official podcast, while I was waiting for you to finish watching the episode, was that originally Piper's ending was going to be different. And actually, I think this suffered a bit because she was going to... Well, we did see in this that Piper realizes she can't hack it. She can't stay at the monastery. She can't be in Thailand. She can't suffer being poor. She is scared of poverty, like Victoria had said for her, which, I love Victoria's thumbs up and... trying to justify living an opulent lifestyle is the only way to be respectful to those who don't, which hard disagree.
That was terrible. But Parker Posey was amazing in this
character. She is incredible.
Yeah.
But Piper's ending was originally to sort of switch with Saxon. So when they entered this, Saxon is about getting what you want, getting power, money, sex, and she was more about seeking spiritual growth. And at the end, Saxon was reading the books from Chelsea, and originally they had it where Piper decides to lose her virginity because she's like, well, there's something to this sex thing. She was going to lose it to Zion too. And then they would have switched into different positions where she's like, I see the point of carnal pleasure and seeking and getting what you want. And he is trying to find his soul.
Yeah.
I think it would have been much better if they kept that in, but I understand for time. However, if HBO decides to release these one day, I would love to watch the whole thing. Watch the ridiculously long Mike White cut.
By the way, I haven't read this article, but I just saw a headline. There's a New York Times article that says Patrick Schwarzenegger had to learn to act richer for the White Lotus. And I'm like,
okay,
really, dude? Really?
I'm calling bullshit on that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but I also think that Saxon had, another minor win, another maybe a second or third place win in this episode. I loved the scene that I mentioned earlier that pretended Rick and Chelsea would not make it, which was he was watching them after talking to Chelsea and having a real connection with her in the last episode that she rejected ultimately and threw books at him.
Yeah.
But he realizes he has no chance with her, but also that he wants what they have, and he wants something better, he wants someone to love him the way that Chelsea loves Rick. He wants to have a deeper connection, and he looks immediately at Chloe, who is not that way, and she's also someone he desired earlier on this season. And he's just not the guy that he was at the beginning, who was about all that, wanting and needing and identity and in that prison. So he did take a minor win by realizing that and attempting to make changes in his life.
I did enjoy seeing his, I guess, spiritual development in some way. I felt like it would have been interesting to see it happen a couple episodes earlier, but I think they needed to get there. There was one thing about this season, I felt like maybe in episodes 4 and 5 that they were really dragging out certain things.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not wrong.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, this is longer than season 2, which was longer than season 1. I mean, but to their credit, I didn't expect to be rooting for Saxon Ratliff by the end of this.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
Complete douchebag who I thought was going to be like Shane from season 1, but he ultimately didn't turn that way. I think with this show, a lot of people walk away unchanged, and some of them walk away completely changed. And this season featured more complete shifts than ever before.
Mm-hmm. And epiphanies, like with Kate, Lori, and Jacqueline. Lori's epiphany. It's like she realizes I loved that, and their ending was great. Their ending was
so realistic.
Great. Yeah, and thank God they didn't get shot. They were in the line. They were in the line of fire.
How are they giggling and laughing on the boat? Like 5 people just didn't get shot to death in their presence. Yeah. My God, I would not be giggling and drinking wine and having a fun, light conversation. I would be traumatized.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh God, but yeah, it was Lori kind of setting them free. They were taking baby steps this episode. Like Jacqueline suddenly realized she sucks.
Yeah. Hey guys,
said,
you know what?
Sorry.
I suck.
Well, last episode, she had this deplorable line where she said, "You know what? I'll just be the bad guy. I'm used to it." And it's like, dude, shut up. Stop that. You're no martyr. You're the one who orchestrated a lot of the pain here.
Right.
But I really loved Lori's speech as well, where she admitted, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm really sad, and I've been sad all week. And ultimately she said she doesn't have a religion. And she means it in a way that's not literally religion, which is really a modern interpretation of what religion represents as something to be your guiding light, or a way to find community, or a way to find sense in your life. And she ultimately says, which is harsh, work, love, and motherhood did not work for her. And what she ultimately follows is time. And I mean, does time give life meaning? Maybe it does. But I thought she was being so raw in that admission. And, Jacqueline sort of admitting, yeah, I'm sorry, I did bad, also helped it along the way. I guess Kate is the one who didn't really grow or change at all.
No, not at all. In fact, I mean, it sounds like from the beginning, Kate kind of regressed or became someone less than the other two, less than where they started.
she was always starting the shit talking. She would get this, happy little Cheshire cat smile, like, ooh, guess who I saw walking out of Jacqueline's room last night?
Yeah.
Every time she was the number one shit stirrer. And she didn't really change that much, though, there were deleted scenes with her too, which I would, again, love to watch. I will take a full day and watch this Mike White cut, if given the choice.
Maybe they'll make it available for us.
Oh, I would love that. Please release it. Please let me
Come
watch
on, Mike.
40 hours of this show, Mike. I'll do it. So, friendship is religion? Friendship is meaning? I mean, they did seem genuine in those proclamations. At first, I thought, oh, this shit, where they were like, I'm so happy. This week has been so great. And, you're my friends. And there's just something about this being real with each other. And they weren't real with each other. But
No.
I do think Lori set them free.
Yeah.
And by admitting her own weaknesses and shortcomings as well. Because, like Jacqueline said, there's a lot of people who hate me for superficial reasons, but you guys hate me for real reasons.
Yeah, that was pretty deep. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I also, I just can't get over Lockie in this episode. He had this disgusting line early on with Saxon where he said, I'm a pleaser. I just saw you being left out and I wanted to help.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I wrote no for him. And I did think he was going to die as well, because that clue in the opening scene where he's drowning or floating in the water, or the image of someone floating in the water is by the actor's name.
Oh, interesting. Credits. Oh, I didn't notice that. You know what? Because I skipped the intro. Why? Because I'm an intro skipper.
Well, okay, but I do want to point out I finished this episode like an hour before you did.
That is fine, but also...
And I still watched it.
I told you the challenges I was having to finish the episode. I know you had your own challenges as well, but
yeah,
I did the best I could.
Real talk, everyone. I think I might be a psycho. My brother-in-law had to go to the urgent care, and I still watched the episode. I'm still doing this podcast. But he's fine, y'all. He's fine. He had a deep cut. I think he got stitches.
Well, you didn't have to take him to urgent care.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. He got there.
But I could have. But I didn't.
Okay.
He didn't need me. If he needed me, I would. Okay? I'm not crazy. I'm committed. I'm committed to the game. And the game is watching shows and talking about them.
Yeah, that's the game. You're committed to this podcast.
In my relationship, I am the Rick and my partner is the Chelsea. And yeah. In every relationship, there's a good one and a bad one. And I guess I'm the bad one. But, there's always room for redemption, as this show showed.
Or revenge. I really hope that I'm never on your bad side, since you just
too.
Admitted you like revenge.
I really like revenge.
All right. But you know what? Nobody's worse than Greg.
Greg, unfortunately, as I thought, also came out as a winner in this episode.
He did.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Let's talk about his group, I guess, which also includes Belinda. So last episode, he offered $100K to help her. And Zion really raised the stakes with his U of H MBA, business power, magnet degree, and walking in with all the swagger of a confident businessman and not just some kid who just graduated. And when he said $5 million, what did you think?
I was blown away. Now, if I was in that same position and I was offered $100,000,
what would you counter?
I would counter. You know what? I don't know how much it costs to open a spa. But I also would have been probably, I wouldn't have gone that high. My first reaction was to counter with 500.
My reaction was 1 million.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to Zion's credit, Greg does have the money.
Yeah. Now, if I had known what Zion had known, I might have gone higher.
Well, he did say that's just 1%. 1% of your takeaway. And then Greg ultimately agrees. And we also get that last scene at the end where Chloe is talking to a young, handsome guy. And then Greg looks over, gives a little wink. So turns out that kink was real.
Yeah.
And I guess Greg is going to be happy living it out with Chloe in Thailand.
He says he never wants to leave.
I have a feeling he will not appear in the White Lotus season 4. And this was Greg's ending. But Belinda, she's corrupted.
She basically did to Pornchai what Tanya did to her.
She Tanya'd him. She lived long enough to become the villain. She was our moral center, our compass. But ultimately she did something which it's very human. I would understand if anyone did this, where as soon as she became rich, her whole mindset changed and she thought like a rich person, thought more about me, instead of, I think she's made a career and possibly a life of taking care of other people. I mean, we know she's good at what she does, which is, working in the spa, leading the spa, caring for people's pain and taking on their pain, and transforming it. And in one way, it's great to see her finally get her due. But in another, it's sad because we've lost this principled person.
Yeah, it's really sad. I hope that she comes around. I do hope that the morals that she has built in her, that Mike White has written, that she does come around. That would be nice to see that.
Well, she did leave the door open. She just said, I need to be rich for a while. And she said, not right now to Pornchai.
And to Pornchai, she said, maybe. So, that's good. But I do agree that if I were in her position, I would not want to open the spa in Thailand anywhere near Greg.
She is right to get the hell away from Greg.
Yeah.
And, maybe this is a white privilege thing where Rick was like, I'll hang out here. And then Belinda at the same time is like, oh, I'm bouncing. Bye. I'm getting away from the danger. I'm taking my bag and running. But she made a smart move there, at least. I do think on her face, she looked more pained to be telling Pornchai, hey, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
In comparison to Tanya, where she was just like not really, she's like, I met this guy, I'm leaving, well, bye. And, even Tanya, she came back for her sunglasses while Belinda was crying. Right. And she was like, oh, oops. So in a way, this is karmic justice for Belinda for her pain from before. And she ultimately did get helped by Tanya vicariously. I mean, through a very circuitous route. So you can view this as both a positive thing and a negative thing.
I guess it just shows that, money corrupts, maybe?
I guess it does. I mean,
too much money? It does
corrupt. I don't think $5 million is too much in the scope of how rich everyone is in this show, because that would definitely put her on the lower end of the wealthy.
Especially,
at least at this caliber.
Especially if Patrick Schwarzenegger says he needed to act richer than he already is. So how the hell rich are the Ratcliffes supposed to be? The Ratcliffes supposed to be.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I think he knows exactly what it's like to be very, very wealthy and privileged. Oh, poor Pornchai. I think he might be the only one who really lost. Well, not the only one. The only staff member who really lost, because our 3 Russian guys, they're doing fine, as shown by the epilogue. They're partying it up with new guests, new wealthy guests. Maybe one of them has Zelle or PayPal or Venmo
or Cash App.
Get Alexei his $10,000 Cash App.
I love that he said Cash App at the end.
I think Cash App is a scammer app.
It's gotta be.
Just me.
It's gotta be.
No, it's real. I just listened to a podcast called Scam Goddess where she calls it the scammer app, and I believe her. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. I mean, there was a lot of transformation this season. I did like that after Piper realized she's not as principled as she thought, much like Sydney Sweeney's character in season 1, that her wardrobe changed. I mean, she's been dressing like in prairie dresses and really dowdy Victorian nightgowns. And then immediately when they showed Lockie getting sick by the pool and nearly dying, I see a woman walk into their room with a blue and pink dress on, and I think, who's that? It's Piper. She's wearing color now. She's dressing closer to her age now. I think maybe Victoria took her to the store and she was like, if you like it, just buy it. And now that shows that she's fully embraced that lifestyle.
Yeah.
She is a princess, which she feared she would be. But
well, she may soon be a princess in exile, though. Let's see how long that lasts.
Well, I mean, hopefully they grow. Tim seems like he's grown. Saxon's on the road. Lockie said he didn't need to be rich. Victoria is,
yeah,
she is not going to do well.
But my favorite quote of the whole most of my favorite quotes are from her the whole season.
Buddhism. Y'all gonna move to Taiwan? He better be the best Buddhist in China.
You're not Buddhist. You're not even Chinese.
Oh my God, Victoria. Piper, no.
Oh man.
Yeah, but overall, this season did it big. 5 deaths. I would say 2 very important deaths, which were Rick and Chelsea. Secondary, Jim Hollinger, and lastly, the 2 bodyguards who were mean to Guy Talk the whole season.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to. Yeah, that. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, last season we had several deaths with Tanya, but again, those were much more minor characters. They were bodyguard level characters as opposed to Rick, Chelsea, secondary, Jim Hollinger.
Well, and I mean, honestly, like with Tanya, with the deaths that Tanya doled out herself with the gun that she grabbed. Those were the people that were trying to kill her.
They were trying to kill her, and she was defending her life.
She won until you got this, and then
you got this. Oh, wow.
She could have just stayed on the boat. She would have been fine.
If she had just sat there?
Yeah.
If she had just gone to sleep or something, she would have been fine.
Just holding that gun, going to sleep, but nope.
And Greg would have lost. But, there's so many whats and ifs, and what if this had been slightly different? What if Jim Hollinger hadn't been so oblique? What if Tim or Lockie had washed that damn blender? Don't use a dirty blender. I guess that's the lesson.
Yeah, I mean, we know Tim was just kind of out of his mind on lorazepam or whatever the name of that.
Lorazepam.
Yeah. I need my lorazepam.
I am going to have to drink myself to sleep. I hope you're happy.
God,
boy.
You know what? My last note, this is really sad. My last note for Rick and Chelsea was love springs eternal.
But it is sweet in a way.
Yeah.
Giving her all that dreamer belief that we're going to be together forever and ever and ever in this lifetime and next, and ultimately they die together. They are going to be together forever in a way. But it's still too bad because they made this character who was this perfect angel, this symbol of hope, and she lost. But in a way, she did get what she said she wanted.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the monkey paws way of getting to it, which is quite White Lotus of them.
Very much so. Yeah, I think you could call the White Lotus the White Monkey Paw, and it would be the same show. I will say, even though I said Mook sucks, Lisa does not suck. I thought she was great actress.
Good.
I thought she was
great.
I
saw the expression in her face, like, I like you, I don't, like the love going in and out of her eyes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Tell.
It was so
I was
good.
like, I know that look, she's over it, or I know that look, she's excited. Lisa, you're the most famous person in the world, arguably, and you're also very good at acting.
Congrats. Congrats, Lisa.
The real winner is Lisa. But overall, I really did like this season. I think it did drag in the middle, but overall, I'm very happy with what we got and the lessons we learned here about embracing spirituality, religion, and the self, rejection of the self. It was great. I think tonally it worked really well and things did make sense.
I do want to mention, I think that Sam Rockwell's character is representative of what happens to a lot of men that go to Thailand.
The LBHs?
Yes, but besides that, though, you hear stories about how men that go to Thailand and they become penniless because they spend all of their money on partying and women, and then they're found like unconscious in a forest right outside of town. And I thought that was interesting that they actually touched on that in this, because it's like it is a tale as old as time, apparently.
I think Frank's going to be fine. I think he has found his understanding of life, and I think he's going to probably go back to his ways in Buddhism.
I hope so.
You know, is it the most authentic form of Buddhism? Absolutely not, but it works for him. And I guess that's ultimately the takeaway of, when we look back at Laurie's speech of what is religion, what is spirituality, what does this all mean? What is your guiding light? And it can be a different answer for every single person, and it very often is very different. And that's where we leave it.
Great. Well, a very satisfying season all around. Can't wait for season 4.
Yeah. Did you see that Mike White hinted no more crashing rocks in the future?
Yeah, so what does that mean? Is it going to be in the Alps?
Streets are saying cold.
Yeah, yep. It's going to be
Scouting has allegedly happened in colder parts of Europe.
So will it be in a 4 seasons in the snow? Because it sounds like they've got a contract with 4 seasons.
Oh, they absolutely have a contract with 4 seasons. I mean, check into the 4 seasons.
Norway.
Whichever is in Switzerland, Norway,
Finland,
anywhere maybe. That is in the northern part of the world that is an ice resort, a snow resort rather. Though I will say, I just came back from a trip in Denver where it snowed, and I didn't like it. I want to go to the beach. I want the crashing waves on the rocks. That's where I live. That's where my heart and soul are.
Well, I didn't like shoveling snow when I was growing up, so
I don't like walking in it. I don't like it when it comes down and gets in my face.
Oh, it's fun. I love it.
No.
I love it.
No. I'm from here, Jason. I'm a rare LA townie.
You are.
This is what I like.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Well, I think overall we're both walking away from this pretty happy with what we found.
Mm-hmm.
And great work. Can't wait to see it, whatever's next in 2 years, probably.
Yeah, I know.
That's how it seems to work,
although,
unfortunately.
It's not like they have to do crazy special effects. You'd think they could do it once a year, but...
Well, if every episode is written and directed by one person, it's going to go a little slower.
It's like making 8 movies, basically. So.
Well, I mean, on that topic, Mike White didn't get exactly what he wanted, but I think that might be for the best. He wanted this season to be in Japan, but I think if our central motive is spirituality of, the contrasts around it, Thailand's the place to be. Thailand is so rich for that.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if the monk was based on Thich Nhat Hanh, which is a very famous monk. I saw, because I have studied Buddhism, and I saw a lot of
you did?
familiarity.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My mom was Buddhist for most of my childhood.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because you know I'm half Vietnamese, and she was very Buddhist in my childhood, and then when her mother passed away, she stopped. So that really informed my views on organized religion as well.
Well, we'll have to talk about that on a future podcast episode, maybe.
Yes, everyone, stick around for a future episode of Intro Skippers, no longer featuring the White Lotus until it comes back, but featuring so many great things, hidden gems, some new stuff. It's a mix. And it's what we're excited about and happy to share with you. So I guess that'll do it for this episode.
Yeah. See you next week.
See you next week, everyone.
Bye.
Intro Skippers with Jason Charles Miller and Kim Horcher is produced and edited by Kim Horcher and Jason Charles Miller The name order doesn't really matter. Additional writing by Kim Horcher. Theme song and incidental music by Jason Charles Miller. Take it away, me! You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars only, please. And you might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question? Email us at introskipperspod@gmail.com. That too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Intro Skippers on your favorite podcast platform. All right, for getting this far, you get a reward. I stopped talking.